Hey everyone, I'm Justin with AmericanMuscle.com. And today we're taking a closer look at and installing the C&L cold air intake available for all 2015 through 2017 Mustang GTs. Now, you guys should be considering the C&L for your Gen 2 Coyote if you're on a very tight budget and would like to grab the most affordable kit currently in the category to help increase both the power and sound of your GT without the need of any tuning. All right guys, so if you are checking out the C&L option here, chances are you are in the market for an intake, but would prefer to keep things as budget friendly as possible. Now, if that does sound like the case, well then you are certainly in the right place here with the C&L. As far as your benefits are concerned, well, a lot more sound under the hood, under hard acceleration should be expected, along with a more modified look, of course, but the other big expectation will be power, right? And listen, guys, I try to be pretty honest with you when discussing this topic because certain manufacturers will throw out different horsepower and torque numbers. Ultimately, running a custom Orkan tune will help maximize the gains provided by the intake, but that is not necessary here with the C&L. Now, as far as what's included with this kit, well, you are getting a powder-coated wrinkle black aluminum intake tube, which I like because it's gonna be clean, kind of stealthy, low-profile look once installed, and that aluminum is gonna be good when it comes to preventing heat soak. Now, the C&L does also include a high-flow reusable oiled filter here. It is washable, it is reusable, of course. That's gonna save you some money in the long run as opposed to replacing those cheap Paper Element factory filters every 10,000 miles or so. Now, outside of the tube and the filter, the C&L will also include the rather large heat shield, as you can see, to be used in conjunction with the weather stripping. That's there, of course, to help kind of block out any hot engine bay air from entering the filter itself. Now, ultimately, I will say, guys, that going with a sealed enclosure is going to be your best bet at reducing intake air temperature. So if that is a concern for you and you have a little bit more money to spend, we have many aftermarket options on the site for your Gen 2 Coyote that will feature an enclosed box or air filter, but just a heads up, again, they will be typically a little bit more costly. And with that said, this is a great time to talk about price, guys. The C&L, again, will be very attractive in that regard, as this kit for the 15 through 17 GT will land you right around that mid $100 price point. Again, at the time of this video, the most affordable cold air system currently available for the Gen 2 Coyote, even a bit more affordable than the SR Performance option, which is also pretty budget friendly. Well, let's switch gears and talk more about the installation. And listen, I'm happy to say that if you have a very basic set of hand tools and the slightest bit of mechanical know-how, you should be able to get the C&L in place with relative ease. So therefore, site's gonna call this a 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, about an hour at most to get in place from start to finish. And to show you what you can expect in the garage or driveway, check out our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown.
The tools you'll need for this project are a ratchet, a 7, an 8, and a 10 millimeter socket, a short extension, a 2.5, a 4, and a 6 millimeter Allen key, a T20 Torx bit, and a pair of side cutters. Hi everyone. Today we're installing a cold air intake on our Mustang, so let's get started by watching a short video on how to uninstall the stock intake.
First step of the uninstall, we're gonna get our engine cover out of the way. Now, if you guys have a strut tower brace installed, you're gonna remove that. That'll be 2 15 millimeter bolts on each of the strut towers. From there, you'll be able to gain access to the engine cover, which you'll just pull straight up and set aside. Next step, let's disconnect our MAF sensor. That's located right here by our filter. Underneath, there's a little locking tab. You wanna pull straight back on that, pinch and disconnect. If you take a look at this red thing here, that's that locking tab, so just pull back on that, pinch the center, and it'll disconnect. All right, next step, let's do our hoses. Now we have our vacuum lines, our breather lines, and we have our sound tube. Now your sound tube may have a clamp here. As you can see, ours has seen better days, so we don't have the clamp anymore, so we're just gonna pull that guy off. Next to that, you'll see a couple of hoses. Those you'll pinch and pull back, and they'll disconnect. The one underneath has a little gray release tab, which disconnects it. That's this thing here. You'll just push and pull back. And then finally on the side, do the same thing. Pinch and disconnect. Now on your inner fender here, you'll see a 10 millimeter bolt holding that on. So what we're gonna do is take a little extension along with a 10 socket and get that guy off. Next up, let's loosen up the clamp holding the tubing to our throttle body. Now that's gonna be a 7 millimeter socket. Loosen this guy up and disconnect. All right, so we're gonna pull straight back on this guy to disconnect. And then you can lift up on the entire intake assembly and set it aside.
With our old intake removed, we now transfer over our mass airflow sensor from our original box to our new tube. To do that, you're going to need a T20 Torx bit to remove the 2 screws for the mass airflow sensor, and then we can transfer that over to the other one. Now, unfortunately, one of our screws has been replaced, so we're going to be using a T15, but yours should have both be 2 T20s. And we slide it out. And then using a 2.5 millimeter Allen key, remove the screws that are in the new tube. And then we can go ahead and slide our mass airflow sensor in, making sure, of course, that the holes line up for the new screws. And go ahead and get those installed. All right, now we can move on to assembling our heat shield and our air filter. Now we're going to go ahead and assemble our heat shield. We have a small piece and a larger piece, and they fit together just like so. And using the supplied screws and lock nuts, we can go ahead and get this assembled. So we'll insert our screws from the front side here, and then attach our nut on the back side. And there's a total of 7 screws and nuts to assemble this with. So once you get one started, you can just go ahead and repeat this process for the rest of them. Now, once you've got all the screws installed, we can go ahead and tighten them down using our 2.5 millimeter Allen key and a 7 millimeter socket. Now with those tightened down, we can go ahead and install our filter. Now we'll install our filter onto our adapter. Go ahead and insert that all the way into the edge, to the lip on the adapter itself, and then tighten down the clamp using an 8 millimeter socket. Now once you've got that done, we can go ahead and insert this into our heat shield right here, using the 2 M6 by 1.0 screws with flat washers and lock washers. So we'll go ahead and insert our air filter into our heat shield, line up our inserts for our threads, insert our 2 bolts, and tighten them down with our 4 millimeter Allen key. Now we can go ahead and install our weather stripping around the outer edge of our heat shield. So to do that, there's a small gap with a steel band inside. So we're just going to slip this over the edge of the heat shield and press it into place. And then we'll just work our way all the way around the heat shield and just press it all the way down until it seats completely. As you can see, there it is plenty long enough for this to go around. So now you can just use a pair of side cutters to trim off the excess. And now we can go ahead and start installing the brackets to secure this to the vehicle. Now we can go ahead and install our lower bracket for the heat shield, and it's going to be mounted right here on the frame. Now you can see that we have two silver colored bolts right here. The bolt that we're going to attach our bracket to is going to go in a hole right here in front of, or just about even with, this front bolt. So we'll go ahead and insert our Allen bolt with our flat washer and lock washer and install that into the threaded insert already in the frame. Now for now, we're just going to leave this finger tight until we get the heat shield in place and we know exactly where it needs to be. All right, now we can install our upper mounting bracket to the outside of our heat shield. And you want to make sure that the short end of the bracket is going to the heat shield itself and the longer end is going out. So we'll install our Allen bolt with a lock washer and flat washer into the hole, and then we'll attach one of the supplied shoulder nuts to the back side. And for now, we'll use our 4mm Allen key to just secure it to the heat shield without tightening it up. We will need room to maneuver it once we get it installed. That being said, now we can go ahead and set our filter into place. Now it's going to go back down inside towards where the original came out of, and this hole on the bottom is going to line up with the bracket that we installed earlier on the frame. Now we can install another one of our M6 bolts with the lock washer and flat washer down through the heat shield and into the bracket, and then put a nut on the other side. Once you've got your bolt through both of the heat shield and the bracket, now we can go ahead and install the nut on the other side, keeping in mind, of course, that it is a little bit of a tight fit in there, but with a little bit of patience, you can get it done. All right, now with that one secured, we can go ahead and secure the top of our bracket back into the original location. Now to secure our upper bracket, we're going to be using another M6 bolt with a lock washer and a flat washer, and securing it to the original location that held down our original cold air intake. Now you may have to manipulate the bracket and the heat shield And then using your M4 Allen key, you can go ahead and lock that down. And once you do get it started, go ahead and tighten that down. And now do the same thing with the lower bracket. Now obviously with my hand in there, it's a little difficult to see, but you know exactly where that bracket and that bolt is at since you just installed it. So now we can go ahead and tighten that down. Now you shouldn't need a wrench on this, but if you do, you can use a 10mm wrench on the bottom to hold the nut still while you secure the top. Yeah, once you've got that done, now we can go and install our intake tube. Now we can install our couplers onto our intake tube. And so we're going to slide one of our clamps over the top and then install one of our couplers and position our clamp. Now you want to make sure that when you position your clamp, you position it in a place that you've got access to it to be able to tighten it down once it's installed. Now we'll go ahead and do the same thing for the other end. So we'll install our clamp first over our coupler and then install the coupler. Now we can go ahead and put our clamps over the place on both ends and go ahead and get this installed to our air filter and to our throttle body. Slide that over the throttle body. And do the same thing for our air filter. And now that we've got it in place, we can go ahead and tighten it down with our 8mm socket. Now we'll tighten the ones down on our throttle body. Now we can go ahead and reconnect our hoses. Make sure that we push them in until they snap into place. Now, once you've got everything re-hooked up, now we can go ahead and remove our actual sound tube. All right, now to remove our sound tube, just follow this all the way back to your firewall, and there should be a bolt back here, or a nut on a stud that holds that in. Now ours is currently missing, so all you have to do is remove that nut and then pull your sound tube out. And now we can go ahead and plug in our mass airflow sensor, making sure that it snaps into place, and then make sure that you push in on the red locking tab so that it doesn't come back out. And finally, we can go ahead and reinstall our engine cover. Lining up our studs in the grommets, pressing them into place. Now, if you have a strut tower brace, now you can go ahead and replace that as well. And that wraps up our review and install of the C&L cold air intake in black for your 15 to 17 Mustang GT. Thanks for watching, and remember, for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.